here's a question from, and actually I'm going to lead into a question or a topic I've heard you talk about before, Walker. But this question that I'm going to start with is from Vaughn on LinkedIn. Vaughn says, how will AI affect the way people work in the future? What impact will it have on the jobs humans do? And I remember you talking, I think it was in our last podcast interview, you talked about the IQ, the average IQ of the average laborer, the average, not the laborer, but the average person in the labor force. How do you think AI is affecting people's jobs just in general and the skills they need to have, other than that digital fluency that you're talking about?
Yeah, if you look, I mean, communication skills are really important. Your ability to communicate with artificial intelligence is really critical. Okay, so that's where the IQ piece comes in. So right now the average employable IQ is around 73. That's set by the U.S. Army. We know empirically, if we look at the way that skill sets change over time, the impact that artificial intelligence is going to do is it's going to AI and machine learning and automation are going to engineer out the positions that the IQs from 73 to the 90 work in. Okay. Artificial intelligence is going to, what's end up happening is the average employable IQ is going to be somewhere in the mid 90s, which right now is about the mean in the West. Okay.
Right.
So what's going to happen is your entry level position is going to be the person who's on the mean in intelligence, right? So that's a person who can think in abstract terms. So I can think in multiple layers. They can play chess. They're not limited to checkers. Okay, right. So they can see multiple moves in the future, but also they have significant communication abilities. That is, they have the ability to speak effectively and they have the ability to write effectively. And that is the fundamental difference. It's going to make people who communicate in writing better at communicating and writing. And right. It is going to make them the time to value when they're solving problems is going to get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Right. Yeah, very interesting. Now, I want to come back to this unified namespace. And there's actually some questions coming in from the audience already about UNS. So let's just dive into that here for a second. First of all, I know you've got some strong opinions about unified namespace. Before we get into those, though, tell us about what unified namespace is and what your strong opinions related to it are.
Sure. So unified namespace is an architecture I created between 2003 and 2005 in that salt mine I worked in. And it came from the problem of the salt mine is 7 miles long. Okay. And when I'm on shift, I'm the only technician on shift to cover the entire mine. Okay. We have all this smart stuff talking to each other over Data Highway Plus. So the blue hose. So a serial network. We have all this stuff talking to each other. It's on a network, but not the network because we weren't using Ethernet at the time. How can I take all that data and put it in a place where I can quickly retrieve the information I'm looking for when someone calls about a problem? So when someone calls and says, hey, belt 40B, section A is out. It's just stopped. We have an indicator, a little light bulb on the thing. It's not running. How can I diagnose the problem without having to drive out there and look? How can I diagnose the problem first, then drive out there and fix? Okay. So, right. Or fix from where I'm at. So unified namespace was all about organizing our business. First off, semantically organizing everything in a hierarchy, the way the business is structured, and then capturing all the events and then being able to manipulate that data into information for me. So how could I put together all the data points I need to diagnose that call when someone makes it? Okay. That's what unified namespace is. It is a architecture that is semantically organized. Think of it as a file share where all of the events in your business are coalesced. So every IO data point, the work order from the active work order from the ERP, the bill of materials we're using right now, all that stuff organized generally as ISA 95 Part 2, which is Enterprise Site Area Line Cell. And then we organize it based on function. So I might have an OEE namespace that's got the OEE calculation in it. Right. It provides context, all data in current context, and fully normalized, and it gives you current state. That's what unified namespace is. It is built on a common technology. So a unified namespace in general, we're using like broker technology. The most common is MQTT. That's what UNS is. It's an architecture that is the digital foundation of your infrastructure upon which you plug in all your software and you consume and produce into that unified namespace to solve problems for the business. We were talking about Odoo earlier here, right? You guys are in the ERP business. You guys did a video on Odoo called We Don't Talk About Odoo, right? Why is Odoo disrupting the ERP industry? You want to know one of the reasons why it's disrupting? Because you can plug Odoo into a unified namespace.
Right.
You can build an MQTT connector so it can produce and consume from a UNS. So you can extract from Odoo things like bill of materials, manufacturing operations, all those kind of things into a unified namespace. It's one key reason why Odoo is disrupting, right? But here's another reason. It's low code, no code. Mm-hmm. So that it can support citizen developers and citizen data analysts. So you guys even shot your own video on this and think about it. When we were at Digital Stratosphere, Epicor was there, right?
Right.
And I had a conversation with the new leadership at Epicor. I think they came from Oracle, right? And she was fucking amazing. I mean, really, sorry. She was amazing, right? And one of the things when I was talking to Epicor, I was talking to the executive leadership at Epicor about this. She acknowledged, she said, the age of putting ERP at the center of your business is over. ERP is a function of the business. It's a node in the business. It needs to produce and consume. Even she was talking about the need for a unified namespace. But anyway, that's what UNS is.
Right. Yeah. So why is this, or first of all, let me back up. Is this a universal concept? It sounds like, there's maybe some different philosophical views on is UNS the right answer or not. And, I guess my question is, why is there pushback, or why isn't this more universally adopted, or is it becoming universally adopted at this point? Well,
it's becoming, we just got back from Hannover Messe and UNS was everywhere. Everywhere. Companies I never even heard of. Right? In general, most people who want to make sure that their product supports a unified namespace, generally they'll reach out to us, or they'll reach out to a member of our community, or they'll join the Discord server and ask the Industry 4 community to kind of vet the product. But I even saw products I've never even heard of, using unified namespace and UNS in their language. And most of them that I looked at, there were some that were just full of it, but most of the companies who are saying UNS they have the definition relatively right. The definition is it's loose. It's not a standard, and it was designed to be flexible. It's designed to UNS is built onto the concept that there is one thing in manufacturing and industry that matters, and only one thing, and it's production. And on the plant floor, you do whatever it takes to get the widgets out the back door. No one, absolutely no one on the plant floor ever says, we can't do that because the ERP doesn't allow us to do that.
Right. So we're going to stop shipping product.
Yeah. They just, no one has ever done that. I've seen it with my own eyes. Hey, it says we're supposed to go here, 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 here. Well, that step right there, that machine's broken. And so we're going to literally run this production halfway through that asset. Then we're going to move the work in progress over to that asset, and we're going to finish on that asset. Guess what? Most ERP systems don't support that mitigation tactic, right? Unified namespace was designed to be able to at least consume the events when you take that mitigation tactic, right? But also to be a single source of truth for your business. Where do we currently stand when we do a DTMA, a digital transformation maturity assessment? We're gauging digital maturity of organizations. We do these 23-point questionnaires and interview people in the organization. We're basically asking, what are you good at? What are you bad at? What's missing? Do you want to know what we've done? Almost 10,000 surveys total. So we have a large longitudinal sample. Do you know what 91% of respondents in manufacturing say is their biggest problem, the biggest what's missing?
Let me guess. Data?
It's the access to the data they need to do their job. 91%. 9 out of 10. Now, they may say it differently. It might be the supervisor might say something like, well, what I need is visibility into current state. That is, what are my assets are running? Where are we relative to plan? What he's saying is access to the data I need, but he may say it in a different way. 91% of respondents across the entire organization say the same thing. Access to the data they need to do their jobs. You want to know the best way to find out what an organization's problems are?
What's that?
Ask them for all the spreadsheets they built to solve problems.
Right.
You just ask them, let me look at the spreadsheets. The spreadsheet is always a functional solution to a specific business problem. And if you can inventory all those things, you know what the business's problems are.
Right. That's a great point.